Good evening, viewers, and welcome to Living the Core. This is a series totally dedicated to people who are truly living their core values in their life's works. And what's really amazing is it's so beautiful when youth, especially very early on in life, when they take up the path of living their life in line with their core. And to share his core and how he is living it exactly, we have Vaibhav Pandya, a good friend of mine, a very recent friend of mine, and somebody who's helping me very deeply in the inner evolution process of mine. So with that, Vaibhav, welcome to the show.
Namaste. Thank you. It's a mutual thing, right? We are
Yeah,
helping each other to grow. Thank you
absolutely.
so much.
So let me introduce Vaibhav. Okay, Vaibhav has about 10 years of experience in teaching learning systems. And what's amazing is he has traveled a lot around the country to really explore education and kind of seeing as to how different modalities on in education are, and kind of really understand and see how he can integrate it together. So he has done his masters in science in physics from University of Mumbai, and then later, undergoes a 3 year teacher training course at Mirambika, New Delhi. And he does a lot of volunteering as well as, kind of full time work in different projects. One of it being Education Innovation Funds for India, EIFI, which was funded by HP, where he kind of worked on integrating technology and study of computers with projects, as well as kind of integrating them in the regular classroom kind of a setup. What's really amazing is he was kind of putting the syllabus together, the curriculum together, and from the scratch for the Polymath School, Bhivandi. I hope I'm spelling it right. Correct me if I'm wrong, Vaibhav. So he was one of the core academic team members at the Polymath School, and he has also gone to US to kind of learn the teaching methodology and the process, and to kind of see how it can be integrated into the school curriculum. So with that, let me welcome Vaibhav. And again, that was a formal introduction. Now let me introduce Vaibhav my way. Okay, so what I really love about Vaibhav is the kind of classes that in the kind of you know um, courses that he conducts. I got in touch with him because he was doing one program called CIC, and something really beautiful is how he integrates science, and his love for science into education is something I truly adore about Vaibhav. He loves physical education. He was just sharing with me that he would ideally love to have about 3 to 4 hours of exercises, or rather, games, and have fun around it. And he loves integrating people, bringing people together on a cause. So that's the informal bit of Viber, and he's running something very amazing early in the morning. He conducts a study circle where he holds the essays of the Gita by Sri Aurobindo. He reads that, and he gives us an opportunity to discuss and to dive deep into it. So that is about Vaibhav. Vaibhav, what do you have to say about your introduction? Did I miss anything? Did you want to add on anything?
First of all, thank you so much for inviting. And ah, yeah. So I like to bring that balance, like whatever I'm doing. So that's a new routine, kind of 3 to 4 hours of physical, 3 to 4 hours of emotional, social connection, and 3 to 4 hours of intellectual part. And whatever is left is all the mixtures. But yeah, everything is interconnected.
Beautiful. So, Vaibhav, that day I was just, you were sharing with me that your connect to spirituality and the works, the deeper works began very early on in life. So, my first question to you is, as a young youth, um, what is it to really connect to some of the deeper works and to live life inspired by these masters?
one thing I found very interesting is uh, what spirituality talks about is searching your truth and knowing yourself. So being sincere to yourself is something which everyone talks about, and that's how I started connecting with it. That I can lie to others, but I cannot lie to myself, right? So touching that part, and to do that, one has to be alert and awake and aware and enthusiastic also. All these four important elements are there, which different masters have touched in a different ways. So how I can be more sincere to myself first and keep on searching for the truth is what I feel one has to do, because you can lie to others, but you cannot lie to yourself. And just following that part, you need to be so much alert. Like every moment there is something. There are so much of mixtures which happens in our mind, in our heart, in our body, that most of the time we are clueless why I am doing it, what I am doing it. So once we start observing and moving towards this direction, I feel we move closer to the truth, and that's
Beautiful.
what the spirituality.
Yeah, so I really love the sincerity part of it, because I think the only thing we can do is to give our best and to be really committed to it, and to do our bit of it. And the process takes its own. I mean, for everybody the process is different and the path is different. So
Okay.
sincerity is the essence what you're bringing in. Beautiful, Vaibhav. Vaibhav, when you look at actually integrating education, what came out in your sharing is, there's a physical aspect of it, there is a mental aspect of it, and there is the emotional aspect of it, which you also again right now also shared as a part of your practice. Now, why is it really important to bring these three together in the holistic development of the child?
There is a fourth component. I was just in the afternoon talking with another coordinator, teacher from one of the schools, good friend of about these three important elements, which generally referred as 3H: head, hand, and heart. So we are not living in isolation, right? Whatever work I am doing or whatever way we are doing it, we are not doing it in isolation. My physical is doing something and my mind is shut. I don't have any emotion. If I'm doing that, then I might be a automaton or I'm a robot, but I'm not a robot. Uh, there are always some emotions, some vibrations which goes in whatever work we do, either it's a love or a hate. That choice is given to us. So any work we do, any study we are doing, from cooking to sweeping to attending a lecture or giving a lecture, whatever. So there are our emotions which are moving us. Our feelings are always present, and we understand, we prioritize, we plan, we express it out, and for all that our intellect helps. So all these threes are part of it. It's life is made up of these three important components, 3H, and we cannot isolate them and teach them in isolation. But when we integrate them, when we motivate children, when we children have that purpose, that sense of purpose, when they are motivated, enthusiastic, and happy, and then they are physically fit and ready, then they are ready to learn. They are explore the world. Without any of these three components, they would not able to function at their optimal or their best level. So this three needs to be integrated, and that needs to be integrated with as an instrument to develop for higher purpose and for better part. So there is a fourth H which we sometimes miss, or we put it as alongside this 3H. But this the fourth H needs to come at the center. I don't have an English subordinate word for it. We can generally call it Hari. Hari means God, divine, or whatever name we want to put it over there. Allah, with whatever name, or inner friend, or a center of one beings, or a core, whatever. So that Hari has to come at the center, and all these 3H needs to be on the kind of a wheel to move it further and integrate it.
Beautiful. And you again got yourself back to a circle. And we've been talking a lot about circle and Vaibhav, right? Vaibhav, thanks
Yeah.
for bringing in how the four H's kind of form the center of, the holistic development of of children. My next question to you is again so much connected to science, because I really loved it when you brought in the carbon as an atom, and how um, you know the essence of carbon is so connected to spirituality, and not just spirituality, the entire evolution. Would you want to bring that as a sharing to our viewers?
Okay, let me attempt to it. It's I wish I had a picture of it. Okay, so general term, very basic stuff. Okay, as per the Big Bang theory and the particle physics experiments and the way the whole atomic periodic table has been arranged, if you see, everything starts with that sound, and the very first thing comes is hydrogen atoms, and the sun is there, which is made up of helium. There are a lot of process happening, and once they start cooling it down, uh, after the air, or in between the air, actually, there is one atom which comes, which we call it as the carbon. And this carbon, the beauty is it arranges itself,
Mm-hmm.
and based on its arrangement, you would get either a coal, charcoal, or a graphite on one side of the spectrum, and on another side you would get the diamond. Same carbon, same element, same essence. Just because it has been arranged in a particular way, in a particular alignment at different level. So what is this mystery? It's very simple. It's if it is not aligned rightly, it's very clumsy, messy part. It kind of bonds like this, and it becomes a charcoal coal. And if it arranges very nicely, very like geometrically arranged, like in a proper structure, layer by layer, then what comes out is a diamond. So that's how my connection with this. So every person has that gem, everyone has that soul, everyone has that core, which is a diamond, but it has been covered by this coal, charcoal kind of part. So our body is made up of carbon. When we die, our ashes are nothing but a carbon. So the carbon is all around. We are in a way a carbon, and our lifetime has been dated by carbon. The trees' lifetime are dated by carbon. So this is one part of it, of a essence of a carbon which I relate with and I bring in my core. Another part which is unique to carbon is its bonding. So again, we are not living alone, right? Vaibhav is not alone. Leela is not alone. We are all living together in this social media on a Facebook platform right now. We are not alone, right? There are so many people connected right now with us. So carbon has unique structure in that sense too. It neither completely gives away, neither can take it. It always shares. There are 4 electrons in its outermost shell, and it cannot give, cannot take any of these 4. So it has to bond it in a way that it can share. They are mutually dependent upon each other. So we are all interconnected. We are mutually dependent upon each other. We are not like any other atom in periodic table. So carbon is one of that atom which has this covalent bond interdependence. So carbon teaches me that part of this interdependence, and this also happens at all these different levels, at physical level, at emotional level, at intellectual level, and as well as spiritual level too. That we are connected, we are interdependent, and from that mess, unaligned, amorphous state of coal or ashes, if we are able to align all this 4 in a particular way and with more of a grace and a flow, then everybody can shine like a diamond. So this is what carbon is all about.
Beautiful. So what came in is first is the alignment. I think that's where the structure. I mean, I'm connecting to it as this. Okay, the
Yeah.
structure,
Yes.
the discipline. The that
Yeah.
and that is one part of it. If you don't do it, you're gonna be like coal, or you're going to be amorphous, in other words. So for you to crystallize, you need a structure and you need to follow that, and that's how you can crystallize and become a diamond. That's one aspect. And the second one, what you brought is so beautifully about the connections, and how we are so connected with each other and forward, Vaibhav. um, if you really look at today's youth, uh, do you sense that the need for real time connection is something that we need to bring across because they're very connected virtually? Uh, should the need for a real time connection, of course, these are corona times, I'm not talking about that, but without corona also, is that something at at stress in the current environment?
Very much. It's stress. Uh, and a deeper connect, I would say, not just a connect, but a deeper connect, not just a superficial or a formal connect with real world. Uh, and I would put it in a four different levels again, as we were talking about. So all these four connection, I would say it as a first the connection with the oneself, like because I see many of us get lost in this corporate culture, in earning and marriage and all that. That we lose connection with ourselves. That's the first connection. That's a real connection with your own body, with your own emotion. Second is with your own family members and friends and all. I'm bad at it, so I would not speak about that much. I'm not able to keep it that much. I would. I'm trying. Let's see. Third is with the larger world and the picture around. That is another real connect. Like you don't know the reality, what is happening at the village level, even in the city level, what is happening. We are completely unaware about all of this. So only real connect can come. No news channels, no social media, no OTT platform can bring you that connect with the real world in which we are living, what Earth is facing right now, what country is facing right now. Needs to really connect there. And the fourth is connection with the nature and the universe at the large. So connection with the nature is slowly picking it up a space, which is a good part. But all these four real connections are important. We cannot miss any of them. So WhatsApp family groups are fine, but need to connect a lot.
Beautiful. Thanks for bringing in the connection and the covalent bonds of carbon with connection. Moving ahead, Vaibhav, something that comes out very strong in you is you love bringing people together. You love bringing, I mean, most of your workshops are also kind of focused around bringing people together, and a lot of it is based on the platform of sharing. You love sharing so much. So, what's your deep aspiration when it comes to education, Vaibhav? How can we make education more, um, I would say, something you brought in is love in education. Love to learn is what you brought in. Okay, so that's, I know, is an aspiration for you, but how can we actually bring that alive in real terms?
I think I already answered that. These connections are the only clue. The
Got it.
more teacher is able to connect with the student, student is able to connect with the teacher, problem is solved. And the role of
Mm-hmm.
society, role of parent is just to see that child is able to have that connection with the teacher, with the subject, and from which direction, from which point that connection is able to prosper is can you can establish that connect. Uh, we can. bring tremendous amount of change. We would not require high-end technologies to do this, bringing this connection, and we're not required to spend lakhs and crores of rupees behind a simple program. Because the moment child is
Mhm.
connected, a child would learn. If child is connected to a teacher, child would learn. If child is connected to some ideas or some internal qualities or some emotions, child would learn. But that connection is very much needed. And to do that, I think two most necessary things require a space for listening. A lot of listening is required. That we need to listen to a child. And when I'm saying listening, is not like you make a child sit in a circle or sit in the classroom and say, "Okay, tell me now." This listening is also about observation. This listening is also about really listening deeply what the child is trying to say, and not to interpret with our adult lenses. So this is the first thing about listening, which we need to do. And second and most important thing we need to do is keep on upgrading our own connections with ourselves and the larger universe. That is something missing also. And the listening, the deeper listening, the true listening would take place when I am connected to my core, to my deepest self. Then I would be able to provide that platform to children to come and honestly speak to me, and to teachers also to come and honestly speak to me, to parent also to come. So everywhere this connection needs to be established, and for that deeper connection with oneself and a larger universe is essential. So these two things, listening and this connection with this oneself, I would say, forms the base on based on which a lot of things would it can easily evolve. Like you do, and wherever you are living urban setup, rural setup, mountain near to the river, desert, wherever you are, you can do this. It's very simple. You don't require any material, outside material to do this.
Beautiful.
This is what I
And
found in my.
this is what you found in your.
So 5 years back, I had this question that what is this curriculum is all about, and is curriculum a place dependent thing? So because there are rules, laws of physics which changes little bit when you go to mountain. If you are in a desert, the children in desert have not seen certain things. They have not seen certain kind of a life, and I'm asking them to make a life beautiful, but they have not seen that life. How they are going to connect with it? So our curriculum, our syllabus doesn't offer it. It asks you to visualize, imagine so many things, and just remain in the pictures in the book. But I have not seen a sea in my whole lifetime, for example. How I'm going to connect with the sea? How I'm going to connect with the poem which is about this? I cannot. It's difficult for me. But if I am able to connect with the child, then things are a bit sorted in a way, and connecting with that nature and universe at the large, the near surrounding. So that's what I found when I was traveling to mountains and different areas of India, in tribal areas, in residential. What they are living needs to be connected with that. Education needs to connected with that part.
Very beautiful. Actually, so true, Vaibhav, so true. Because I remember as a child when I was learning about snowflakes, mountains in the Himalayas, I honestly had no idea what I was connecting to. But it was a lot of imagination. And when I actually went to Germany, and when I felt snow, when I saw snow, when I lived in snow, is when I knew what I had connected with and what it is in reality is so different. Because my connection is so limited, because I mean, I'm from the southern part of India, and we've never seen snow in our entire lives, right? So yeah. But what you brought in is also so true. It depends on the teacher, and it depends on how they impart that. And it's like as children, we kind of look at the world through the lens of our parents, through the lens of our teachers. So it can be
True.
the same poem, it can be the same thing. When you kind of bring in that connection and when you share, if not the actual experience of it, but you're able to get the essence of it. So thank you, and that's a very profound sharing. Thank you. And what you
But this,
also brought in,
maybe
yeah,
sure.
go ahead, go ahead.
What I was saying, seeing from the eyes of teachers and adult works till certain age. The moment child enters into preteen and a teenage, uh, a different connection is required then. Now
Yeah.
child wants to see with his or her own eyes and wants to experience everything by themselves, not to just believe or not to just get into that viewpoint. They are
And that's where
forming
you
their
got to be a listener, I feel.
very much. That is the most important listener part. Other places you can be observer and you can have little bit of molding here and there based upon your own experience. But teenage, after 10, 12 years of child's life, yes, definitely too much listening is required, and very deep, very deeply, very deeply, very deep.
You're talking to a mom who's a very young teen mom, I should say. But yeah, I mean, I'm able to connect to it. A lot of patience is required, especially because most of their ideas seem to come out when you're busy, when you're in an activity. You know, to take that pause and to really listen is something that's a big challenge, I feel. Yeah, but you're right. We need to really listen up. The next question to you, Vaibhav, something that came out is your aspiration of really, uh, going around and being that educator on the move. And when you're sharing about what you said about traveling and what it is to connect with the loss of that particular land and to share in that context, how do you see yourself as that? I mean, I know it's an aspiration that you have, but what fuels this aspiration of you being a moving educator?
So it stems from two of the masters. Okay, actually, n number of masters, not two, but I would talk about two, and maybe third might appear because I'm getting that sense right now. You think where I am. So now, era of institutionalization is going to break.
Correct.
Uh, this is many of the masters have talked about, and now individual institutions are taking place. Individuals has to become kind of an polymath, has to become kind of an institute by themselves. And there are people, many people, okay, they are kind of a living temple, they are kind of a living school in themselves. You just be in their presence, you would feel it. You just come into their presence, maybe they might be very far, but you would feel it definitely, you would get moved by that. So because what has happened in this institutional business is we have become so much rigid to the form and trying to keep on maintaining and running that cycle. We are busy in managing, we are not busy in making some. So this is
Very
something
true.
I learned while having a conversation with another teenage mom once upon a time. So she put it this very nicely, telling me that Bhaiya, we are busy in managing stuff. I run an institute, she runs a kindergarten in Delhi. So Bhaiya, we are busy in managing many of the stuff. Managing parents, managing teachers, managing children, managing this, managing that. But we are not actually engaging ourselves into making, creating something because we are stuck in that form. We are stuck with that institutional laws and one law after the another rule and another law, and we will keep on facing. So there is a deeper freedom which we need to achieve to move out of this institutionalization somewhere. Institutes are required. It's not like they don't require it. We need them also. But so one of the master used to tell that in future many such people. So I took up that idea and I said, this is perfect. And Swami Vivek, I was very much inspired by Swami Vivekananda. I just miss, I'm just one day ahead of him in terms of my date of birth. So I miss, uh, but very far behind in all the other terms from Swami Vivekananda. So he used to move, and he was a parivrajak. So I wish I would be a parivrajak. Right now, I am not doing it. From last 2 years, I am not doing it. I am settled somewhere because I require that stability right now. Trying to spread through digital medium, but yeah, that aspiration is there. I'm preparing myself outwardly and inwardly both the way to move, develop. I'm like technology is going to help in that a lot way. So developing it, making it ready, and then start moving, and then keep on moving, not to stop.
Beautiful.
So, all the area.
And what I loved is what you said about, it moving from institutions to individuals. And somewhere it's reminding me of the ancient Gurukul system where you go to one guru to learn. And that guru, like it could be Guru Dron, who could teach all the shiksha and in line with what the core of each of his students were. Okay, so he taught Dhanurvidya to Arjun, Gadayuddha to Bhim and Duryodhan, and it's like he individualized it as well, and yet they learned everything that they had to learn as education from one master. I mean, um, is
You,
this
uh,
is this also the
Elaborate.
line of thinking?
I would not use example of Dronacharya. I would use example of Vishwamitra.
Okay.
Uh, so because that's something unique in its nature and the way, and that's what I have read. Few of the educationalists talking about it. So one is Vishwamitra, another is Krishna. Uh, so first I will talk about little bit about Vishwamitra. So uh, Ram was around 16 years of age. He had already learned many things from his guru Vasishtha, who is the guru of that kingdom, right? And this Vishwamitra comes and say, "Come, I want to take two of your son, and I'm going." And Dasrath is not ready. The parent is not ready to send the child for learning. And the teacher comes and says, "Okay, send it." And the Vishwamitra, the way he teaches, like they are moving. The two brothers are moving along with Vishwamitra. They are traveling, and they come across a plant. Okay, let's study the plant. In the night, beautiful sky, many constellations are around. Let's study astronomy. Wonderful. Or something comes, how to sleep, why to wake up early in the morning, what kind of food one should eat, when to travel, when not to travel, how to take care of yourself, how to fight the enemies. All these minor things happens in the journey, and in between they keep on meeting small obstacles, and uh, there is a way to describe it. So it's kind of a metaphor for me, I would say. So life is a journey, it's a movement continuously going. So if it's not physically it happens wonderful. That is one aspiration, and two of the children are kind of triggered. I don't know when their parents would really come to know about this, what they would do. But uh, but this is one of another person I know, one of my mentor. It was her aspiration also, and many of our tribe has this similar kind of an aspiration. So that was about Vishwamitra. So it's not necessarily has to have a physical movement, but the moment of life itself, like J. Krishnamurti puts it, all whole moment of life is a learning. So this is what is about that movement or traveling, and same goes with the Krishna part also. Where so here is a completely different story altogether. You switch to different era and story changes. Where here is a child who says the parent, "I want to go. You have not
Hmm.
taught me anything. Now I want to go and learn." so, so child goes to the guru and wants to learn at very little bit more mature age, and the way he learns. And the three parts which we earlier talked about, this physical dimension, this emotional dimension, and the intellectual dimension, he brings in his life. He is constantly learning and he is developing it, and he is manifesting that part so beautifully, so nicely. I don't take all this religious parts and all, but just this learning aspect. How can one person has this aesthetic sense, this beauty around it, this sense of putting the clothes, playing the flute, putting a peacock feather. Such a lovely and joyful personality that would be, right, to be around. And the same
Beautiful.
person would take care of each other, of animals, of the people around. He hurts also, but his hurt is also lovable. Like you cannot. uh, so, so that's another dimension. Uh, Not to go into that. And say at the same part, he is the master strategist. We need to be that strategist. We need to apply. We need to express ourselves uh, very perfectly, right? And all these three different dimensions which we talk in holistic education, he brings it live in front of all of us. Uh,
Beautiful.
so this is how uh, learning is all about.
Beautiful. Since you brought in what is learning, I am going to ask you a few questions, Vaibhav, and it's going to be
Uh,
the rapid fire round. So for the viewers, the rapid fire
Lovely.
round is I have about 10. In Vaibhav's case, actually about I have about 12. So let me see whether I want to shoot 10 at him or 12 at him. So these are 10 or
Keep the
12
12.
words that
12. 12 is a lucky number. Not lucky number,
okay.
but it's a interesting number to.
Okay. So I'm gonna shoot out 12 words at Vaibhav, and he has to respond spontaneously either as a word or a phrase or a sentence. Okay, back. Are you ready, Vaibhav, for the rapid fire round?
You are limiting my expression by word only.
Okay. The first
Please see
word
my
that
face
comes,
also.
pardon?
Please look at my face also. That might only
Okay.
communicate.
ना 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 मुंह से बोलना है. Okay. The first word
Uh,
that comes to Vaibhav is movement,
Dance,
integration,
joy,
aspiration,
my life,
circle,
garba,
yoga,
education,
rhythm,
harmony,
playfulness,
discipline,
connection,
love,
atom,
silence, space.
silence,
Silence
space,
and space. Silence and space. Yes.
surrender,
To the divine,
friend.
parampriya.
Last is harmony.
Can you repeat the first word?
Harmony, harmony, harmony.
Harmony, alignment,
Beautiful.
and
That's
also with
it.
the balance. Alignment with the. I would like to tweak it a little bit now. I want to like elaborate that part about harmony. So can I?
Yes,
Or
yes, yes. Good.
so harmony when I say alignment is not just alignment which is you fixed. This is kind of being in that equilibrium,
Mm-hmm.
and so being in that equilibrium so that you are not perturbed, you are equanimous, and that is a level of perfection which one reaches, and that is a harmony form. So when I'm saying alignment is basically this part of not to get perturbed, uh, remaining equanimous, uh, being in that equilibrium in each and every dimension. That is the perfection, which is a harmony.
Beautiful. So you're talking about being equanimous. And the other day you were sharing that yoga is education for you. How would you want to connect with yoga and education for the viewers? How do you want to bring that connection between yoga as education?
So I would start with one quotation by John Dewey. He's a very famous educationist from US from 20th century. He says, education is not the preparation for life. Education is life. Education is a social process. So we need to understand this part. What is education as a social process? In our journey of evolution, humanity has traveled. We have developed so many things, starting from our knowing how to fire, how a wheel moves, from there till today about space rockets, about hyperloop, about artificial intelligence. We have reached kind of a tremendous amount of jump. If you just jump it from that era of Stone Age, where a first Neanderthal man might have knew about fire and using the fire, and current era, whatever 50,000 number of years, whatever number of years, there is a huge part, right? And what we are trying to do in span of 15 years, 18 years, 20 years, trying to sum up all that learning into the current generation. They are already updated. They already come with that updated knowledge. That is that comes through the DNA, that comes through the environment. And now we want that child to learn all the languages, to learn the maths and science, to go through everything, whatever we have gone through, learn to use the body, learn to use the heart, learn to use the head. Our ancestors went through that whole process, and where we are right now. So through this education, that social process, we are trying to bring up that child till now, so that child can continue the journey ahead. That is the whole idea, right? So the child continues the journey ahead. So we are bringing all accelerating speed. We bring everything. We start teaching child how to eat, how to handle a pencil, how to write down, then write down beautifully, then write down spellings, then write down essays, then compute so many things. This is education in general. So one thing which commonly comes out is evolution. So all evolution of mankind, we want to compress it in this 10, 15, 20 years of a lifespan, early age of a child. If you see the syllabus, every 5 years, every 3 years, what they bring in the name of changes, they compress it further and further. Oh, artificial intelligence is a new subject. CBSE has announced. Now, from next year onwards, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade would have artificial intelligence. We never learn artificial intelligence at our age, right? We could not have even thought of it, right? So now,
Absolutely.
current generation has to learn artificial intelligence at 9th and 10th grade. Already, children are going to this all this coding program for fourth standard onwards. We were enjoying, we were happily playing because we had a different life. Because, right? So we are compressing and compressing and compressing. How much you are going to compress? I don't know. But there is a clue. We are on a stuck. That's a different story altogether about education system. So this is education, okay? The compression of whole evolutionary journey into child's mind with our own perspectives and vendetta and agenda and everything into it. Now, I would add one more sentence into John Dewey's quote. He says, education is a social process. Very true. Education is a social process. You are codependent. You learn together with the other children. Whole society requires it. It has been taken care that how government wants, what is the need of the country, what is the need of that era. Everything is there. So in that sense, it is a social process. But replace this word education with learning and make it individual. So Learning is an individual process. Learning is not a social. Education is a social process. Learning is an individual process. And when I take the individual, why I would limit myself with this only physical appearance? I have to go much behind to the animal kingdom, much behind to the plant kingdom, much behind to the mineral kingdom, and that is the past, and also go to that future. So learning becomes this process, individual process, and that is where yoga comes. So it connects, but the way Swami Vivekanand puts it, and later on Sri Aurobindo elaborates it, and many other masters says it, that you compress the whole evolutionary journey into a shorter duration, and that is yoga. Now, if I take a point of education, which is again compression of all human journey and putting into child's mind and its skills and the value system, same thing we are doing in the yoga. We are just compressing that time. We are making it faster, making it much refined. Each and every moment we are learning. And life is teaching us. Still, we don't learn from our mistakes. Life keeps on coming. Corona keeps on coming. Other things will keep on coming. In our own life, certain things keeps on coming. So if we really want to learn from the life, you are doing yoga, and that's a very individual process. Uh, which yeah. So basically, it's just about the process. One is just a, you see, education is just a social dimension at just a level of humanity, and on the another way, in a yoga, you see it a larger and bigger spectrum and comparison. So it's nothing but about comparison. It's nothing but about learning. It's nothing but about evolution. So
Beautiful.
education and yoga is nothing but about evolution. You being better to yourself. That's another way to put it. It's a limited way, but for a time being, for those who are afraid of spirituality, not want to embrace yoga, for them, or those who want to still go with the material world, being better version of yourself is sufficient to put yoga there.
Okay, so it's about being better version of yourself, and I really love the way you brought in the compression and how we are really trying to compress everything and put it into the child's mind, and also how as yoga is also yoga is in other ways it's learning, right? It's individual learning. It's a very person centric learning. So thank you for bringing that, Vaibhav. My last question to you is, you know, you brought in J. Krishnamurti and what he has shared, and you brought in Sri Aurobindo, Swami Vivekananda. But if I were to ask you, what is your vision for education? What would it be?
I don't see any.
You already shared it as an
I think
aspiration to bring in the four elements, four C's together. But in one way, in one sentence, if you really would want to sum it up as and say, okay, this is how you would love to see education as, what would you say? Want to say?
I think I would use the one of my core here that describe my education.
Mm-hmm.
Freedom of joyful, freedom of movement for joyful creation as an
As an
offering,
okay,
offering
freedom
to the
of
larger world.
movement. Yeah, freedom of movement for joyful creation as an offering. Beautiful.
We require a lot of freedom of movement for the children, to the learner. We require a lot of joyful creation in the learning process, not past, not theories. Theories should go with the experiments and the new creation. Something new needs to be made. You make a book, you make a video, you make something out of your hand. You go and grow your food. You go and make your table. That is creativity, and it has to come from that joy. So that freedom needs to be given. The, whatever freedom, the movement of different levels again there, that has to come, and all this needs to be done as a kind of an offering to that highest, so that to go for that truth, not limit oneself to some selfishness or some lower motive. But when I'm saying offering, it's basically putting it to the world. It should be helpful to the universe. It should solve the world problem, right? So as high and wide one wants to make it, one can make it. So that's what the offering component is about.
Beautiful. Wow. You know, education has to be centered
I have
around
never thought
offering.
of. I never thought of what my core is all about education in this way. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for bringing it so beautifully, actually. So thank you so much, Vaibhav, for sharing, you know, your core with us and your insights on education. I'm sure it's going to really help a lot of people. I know we repeated a few questions. The idea was to actually bring in the essence of it in different ways, because what you hold is really brilliant, and we really wanted to, seep in a little more, I would say. So thank you so much for bringing yourself on, and wishing you all the very best. Viewers, something really amazing is, really love to bring Vaibhav is, at a very young age, this guy is really trying out something awesome, and his courage and his belief around, turning things around education is something truly amazing. So Vaibhav, wishing you all the very best, and we love to see your works really, flower and blossom many amazing youth. May the garden blossom for all of us through you.
Sure, sure. Our grace is working. She would take care of everything. We do our best. We offer.
Thank you so much, and let her grace flow. So see you
Thank you
tomorrow,
for being
Vaibhav,
part.
early in the morning.
Sure.
So viewers,
And thank you being
last word.
part of this journey and bringing it alive
Eh,
for every one of us, and giving us this courage back. So thank you so much for doing this
absolutely.
work that you are doing.
Thank you so much. And what Vaibhav is doing is really amazing, viewers. If you wish to connect with the Essays of the Gita by Sri Aurobindo, please do join this circle of what Vaibhav is holding. It's really amazing. So thank you, and see you again next week. Bye bye. Good night. Bye, Vaibhav.